Hey there, everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I've got Today's Desserts by Geun. I have no idea who actually published this. I got it from Cold Cube Press, but there's not anything inside that tells who it's published by. It's also a very strange setup here where this black and white smaller version of the book, it's a pretty big book, you can see. Here's just like a 8 by 10 piece of paper, so it's a little bit bigger, or 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It's a little bit bigger, and it's a manga, so it reads this way, but there's nothing that suggests that other than the fact that like the color book is in Japanese, so I kind of figured that out. But I don't know. I know I ordered this from Cold Cube Press. I'm pretty sure, but I don't know who originally published it. It's a self-published thing, and I've never seen this convention before where the translation is its separate piece. So I think what happened is this is probably like a self-published small run thing that a distributor got a hold of and didn't have the money to make a new version of it because they're probably only selling a few copies, but they got permission to make this like cheap little easy translation guide, which I think is an interesting solution. Like they can't go back and pay for a translator to come in and re-letter and reprint this whole thing this big, nice in color, but they can't afford to make a few little just like zine copies of the translation. That's a really, really smart. It's kind of awkward for reading purposes, but this lets me read it, understand the stories, and then this lets me go through and just enjoy the art. And it was easy enough to hold the two and go back and forth. So I think that's a really, really cool solution to getting over translated materials over the where you can't do a big production behind them, but there are these worthy small press things going on or independent things going on. This is, I believe, coming from Japan. I don't actually the name sounds more Korean to me, South Korean, Byun Geun. So maybe this is a Korean book. The lettering looks like Korean too. So I don't know like what the Korean comics. I know it's not manga or manhwa. It's something similar. Manhwa, something similar. I don't know what that market's like. I don't know if they typically have color stuff like this, but if it's anything like the manga market, this is very, very different. And so I could see this needing to be like some kind of small press thing, but absolutely gorgeous watercolor art. Um, the stories, there's 3 short stories in here, and they're pretty much just all this unnamed character with this hat on walking around. It's kind of like the Walking Man. That's the closest precedent I can think of for it. It's just this guy experiencing the world, and you just get all of these beautiful renderings of the world. It's really a chance for the artist to show off their skills as an artist and as a composer. And as this character walks around, he also eats a lot of cake. So there's a lot of these really lovely renderings of cake here. And this combined with Tori constantly watching the British baking show has me desiring pie and cake more than I should lately and putting on some weight. So thanks a lot, Byun, for further making me want to eat more and more cake. But the drawings of them are so lovely, and just the sense of ambiance and atmosphere, these almost like Edward Hopper like compositions, this real sense of space and place. This is a really, really gorgeous and well done comic. So I'm going to be following Byun Geun on Instagram immediately, and we'll be hoping for many more works. Hopefully somewhere it's actually translated in the book, but this is such a smart format, and hopefully we'll get more stuff like this. More companies can start using this to get smaller run, or even like, we got 20 copies, but we can get you a translated version if you want one. So hopefully we'll see more of that. I mean, obviously it'd be cool if it was just translated and I didn't have to have 2 books, but smart idea nonetheless. So yeah, I like that. And I really, really like this piece, Today's Desserts by Byun Gwyn. So check this out. I think it's from Cold Cube. I'll find it and I'll put a link to it. So yeah, if you want a copy, there will be a link in the description. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel, the best ways to support us are through our Patreon. There's a lot of different tiers there with different kind of benefits on each tier. We use the money we get from that to help buy the books that we review, so we try and turn it back around in the community that way. And then the best thing that you can do to support Living the Line is support what Sean's doing with Living the Line Publishing. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some books that you can buy from Living the Line now. Plaza by Yokoyama Yuichi. This is translated by Ryan Holmberg and is very large for a manga. So that's a really cool feature of this book, this standard manga size. And this is just a 200 some odd page representation of what Yokoyama Yuichi thinks of the Carnival Parade, and he's just made this like relentlessly loud and rhythmic book that pushes all kinds of amazing boundaries of what comics and manga are, and we could not recommend this book more. Solid Yellow, Path of the Shades by Clarence Doss is a really cool ongoing project that Living the Line will be producing. Clarence is a PhD student from Fiji who's studying the myths of Fiji for his doctoral thesis. And part of that study project is that he's producing these comics. They're kind of like Hellboy, where there's these little short stories that capture all of these different mythologies. But then he's using that to wrap the project into his doctoral thesis and then provide educational material where people can come to these comics. You know, they don't have to read his PhD thesis. They can come to the comics and get a more consumable version of the mythology of Fiji. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.